So the other thing that happens with me that podcasters can take note of, and I think that it's probably pretty common, is the ability to slow down your speaking.
Yeah.
And to consciously say, I'm not going to rush through this, but your brain starts to race.
Yeah.
Right? When a question comes up, if a guest asks me a question or if I ask a question and I don't know how the response is coming, your brain starts to race.
Yeah.
And you got to keep it authentic. You got to just keep having the conversation.
Yes, sir.
We just, like I always say, we just wasted all the good content as he was transferring the footage.
Let's talk about the. Okay, you guys want to get into podcasts at the beginning?
Yeah, let's do that. Talk about podcasts.
Yeah.
What did we learn so far?
So far about each other?
What do you learn about the podcast so far?
About podcasting?
Yeah.
You know, I'd say what I've learned so far about podcasting is it's not easy.
No,
right?
It takes time.
Definitely isn't. I think what a lot of people see is probably like 10% of what actually goes into it.
We were saying before as we were getting rolling, how many people, like you and Q doing the second floor, you guys got 2 people and you're dedicating a ton of energy and time to it. And mine, we got more than that, right? We got Carl doing a little bit of stuff. We got graphic design going on. We got Yusuf. We got Omid. We got so much going on. Yeah. It's a ton of work. Mm-hmm. But it creates some really good content.
Absolutely. Like, do you find that you being with a team, Jared, is more
it helps
related?
Yeah, it helps for sure, and it allows us to streamline the process.
Yeah.
When you guys started the second floor, you're doing an episode a week, right? And it was you had to plan that out. So take me through that, because I do it a little different, right? I try to do a whole bunch in a row to try to create the content and keep going to streamline it. But you guys were doing one a week. What was that like?
We actually, funny enough, now that you mentioned streamlining, we're doing what you're saying now. Because we realize in order to be more efficient and actually save more of our time, doing it back to back just makes way more sense, right? And now that we're more confident and we actually have, you could say, this strategy behind how we're going to do it, it just flows accordingly. Now, in the beginning, it was something where I'd pretty much, Owen and I, we dedicate like a whole day.
Yeah.
Like it would be a Sunday, I'd block off pretty much 12 to 6.
Yeah.
And there would be the preparation phase of, okay, what do we plan on getting out of this guest?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is the intention we're going to set? So that way we know what sort of questions we could pull. It really wasn't just, okay, let's just have a conversation. It was, okay, let's create 2 or 3 themes. This person specializes in this, and we want them to be the, let's say, the golden standard version of educating what they're saying in Edmonton, right? So we would actually have coffee with the guest before going live. And that was for me and the guest to actually develop some rapport with one another.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure
it's the warm-up phase.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure, as you know, if you were to just go point blank and start with them, and especially when it's a guest in Edmonton who maybe you never met before, or maybe you do know them, but it's been a minute since you've had a conversation with them. So when you bring them on board, you catch up, have the small talk, get to know them. And for me, a lot of it was strategically figuring out when they're done with their sentence, how they're speaking, how confident they feel about certain subjects, and then actually letting them know that this is your podcast, right? Like, this is your chance to shine.
It can go anywhere they want to go, wherever they want to shine.
Like, imagine this, right? Like, you have a guest and you're looking at him in his career space. And you're like, you know what? Let's bring Kenny. He's representing TELUS. That's what he does for work.
Yeah.
But then, okay, well, maybe you didn't do enough research to figure out that, you know what? Kenny, he has a podcast and he enjoys martial arts and he's got all these things going on.
He's teaching martial arts. He does everything.
Yeah. So then what I did was I was like, okay, well, you know what? Here's how I know you. And here's what I was thinking we talk about. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you wish to talk about other things? Right? And then for our second floor podcast platform, we heavily rely on career and passion. So the second part was really asking them, how passionate are you about your career? And if you're not so passionate about it, let's talk about your passion.
knowing the focus was important to me. So there's a couple things that I've learned that I can build on that. So first of all, you said what you guys focus on. For me, it's business and marketing, right? So we try to guide the conversation that way, but less guiding now than I originally did. So like you met the guests for coffee before, talked to them. I find I burn too much content doing that. I like going in more green and ready to go, right?
That's true.
So I want to sit down, I want to warm up a little bit, but I don't want to give away too much of that information. I like it where it just flows. The other thing is when I started, I would plan too much out. We had a script, not a script, but we had notes. We had the topics that wanted to get talked about. And then I found myself having to guide the conversation to hit those topics. And my brain, if we didn't hit those topics, then I would wonder how I could guide it there. So we've taken those bullet points and thrown those in the garbage can.
Yeah.
Now we just go in, start talking, warm up. Then I butcher the intro, which is one of the things that I'm working on. And so, like, for example, Kenny Bhullar, second floor co-founder, Omid Sound the Sound. That sound that they created for us, which Omid will sound now on the actual podcast. The sound they created saved me because I wasn't good at the intro, and I learned that. Compared to you can rip off the second floor intro like nothing every time I watch it, and it's just money, right? So it's a difference. But I had to understand that and know that. And once I learned that I didn't want to have the notes. I know about the guests before they come. I do my research. I understand it, but then just go into the warm up and execute the podcast.
I love that.
It's helped me out a lot. Just keep the conversation going.
Yeah, you make a great point, actually.
The other thing is nerves. When I started the first 5 to 10 episodes, there was a little bit of handshaking going on, right? Because you're learning how to do it and you're getting it going. I don't know what you felt like, but for me, it took a while to get over that, and then it guided it to now, where as long as we're having a conversation, it's easy.
Yeah.
And it allows things to flow a little better.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and we'll pick on a couple things there, Jared. Is with what you just mentioned, right? Like you'll go in there and you will feel you feel like you're so prepared, and like you said, right? Like if I were to compare it to, let's say, dating, let's be honest here. You wouldn't go into a date and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna meet her and I'm gonna talk about these 5 things.
If you do, it's not gonna work out well.
It's gonna be these 5 things, right? And then again, if you're just so fixated on just those subjects, are you really gonna get to know them? Are you gonna allow the conversation to flow, right? And I honestly, like, I'm a kind of person, Jared, you'll realize that I'll balance both sides, right? Like, I see the preparation factor, like, you go on a date, it's the first date, maybe you check her Instagram, right? Maybe you get an idea of, okay, she likes this and this. They're conversation starting points. But then you're not going to heavily rely on the entire conversation to be about that. Right?
I learned that. I should have known before the podcast started, because when I used to do a little bit of public speaking and kind of go out and do some speeches, I found that if I over-prepared, if anything went wrong while I was talking, my brain would start to panic and I would kind of go off track, or I'd have to improvise.
Yeah. Right?
So I should have known. So now I know for public speaking, I know my points. I understand them. I'm the master of them, and then I can go out there and I can execute it.
No, absolutely.
But with the podcast, I went in. I still had those. I had those bullet points. I did a lot of research, and I just found, like I said, I was guiding the conversation. If it didn't go there, then I was working hard to push it back. Now, by the time we're episode 20-ish, I'm to the point now where I feel like, listen, like I said, warm up, start talking, feel out the conversation, and just have a great conversation.
Exactly.
And relate it back, if you can, to business and marketing, and stay within your niche for talktojv.
Yeah. And
it's helped me out a lot, and it's made for better content.
I love that. And I want to ask you a question there. When you are warming up, or when you are beginning the initial conversation, because you like to say that you don't like to necessarily have too long of a predecessor.
Yeah, you don't want to burn. Right? You don't want to burn too much.
Like us, for instance, before we went live, we were talking about so many great things.
So many nuggets come out. We had they're lost now.
Yeah, but I'm sure we'll restate it, right? And when I look at it like that, I find that there's so many times where we try so hard to be somebody while we're on the podcast, right? And I notice that about myself. I'll be, in the space of when I'm teaching class, I'm going to be, okay, Coach Kenny.
Yeah.
And okay, when I'm doing my job at TELUS and I'm managing my communities, I'm okay. I'm Kenny, the TELUS guy.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, I always have to make sure that no matter what space I'm in, I'm going to be myself.
Yeah.
Because I find, the moment you put on that suit and tie, or the moment you switch hats and then you go into podcast gear, you just have to make sure you ask yourself, okay, am I being Jared today, or am I going to be a little bit of somebody else? right? And I want to...
You see, the thing for me is anyone who's starting a podcast has to focus on authenticity.
Oh, totally.
Right? Like, you got to be yourself. People can people can see anything that's fake come out, and it's that you might get away for a little while, but it'll come out tenfold in the end, and people will notice it. So it comes back to what I'm saying, right? If I can have a conversation with someone, it's just me and them having a conversation, and it's made for better content, and it's way more authentic than any kind of notes that I had where I was trying to guide the conversation. So that's been a huge learning curve for me, and I'm excited now because they keep getting better and better with every episode.
I'm sure, stating the obvious here, just doing the podcasting makes you a better host, right?
Totally.
Now, what are some other things you'd be willing to share that you find are things you do at home or when you're not on air that you feel help you be a better podcaster?
Not too much right now. I listen to a couple podcasts. I'll listen to Gary Vee a bit, and I'll listen to a couple of the ones out there just to get some inspiration and see how those popular ones work out. And I think you probably do the same when you go and listen to some other ones.
I started to a lot more now.
Well, and I pay attention more now. I saw them before, I listened to them before, but you don't know the amount of work behind the scenes that go into preparing for that and executing the podcast. So now that I've been in it and I can feel it, I can identify what they're doing on those shows that make them more interesting, and then for us, we can implement some of those things while still being as authentic as possible.
So true.
So, I watch a little more, but besides that, not too much. Yeah. Like I said, I don't over-prepare, and I won't over-prepare, because otherwise I find, like I said, if it goes off track, then you're reeling a little bit, you freeze a little bit, and you have to try to minimize those times to freeze.
Yeah. When it comes to freezing, I mean, this question will go out to you as much as I think about it all the time, is for your audience members to know, is how comfortable do you find you are with silence? Especially like when you're talking to someone.
So it depends, right? So our podcasts aren't streamed live yet. We're working on that. So we don't stream it live yet, and it's a good thing because it allows us to learn and be comfortable with what's going on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if there's silence or if someone's uncomfortable, Q can take it out still. He can still filter that a little bit and make the podcast still authentic, but he can help that situation if the other person's uncomfortable. So I'm not uncomfortable with silence, but if it's for a long time, then there's that comfort aspect. You ask the person if it's going okay, and then try to keep going from there. But I'm not too worried about it.
Of course.
Silence is deadly, though. It can feel that way.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you had any of those moments so far?
Lately, I've been working on that. That's been like one of my things where I'm like, you know what, Kenny, you got to work on silence, and you have to work with it, right?
Give it a little bit of power.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because I see speakers out there, Jared, and I'm like, they use silence so impactfully, especially like comedians, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Comedians will talk about how if they go into the next joke right away when they hit the cliffhanger, right, and everyone's laughing, they just have to feel that moment. Let everyone laugh. Let everyone finish the laugh. Right?
Yeah, it's so the other thing that happens with me that podcasters can take note of, and I think that it's probably pretty common, is the ability to slow down your speaking.
Yeah.
And to consciously say, I'm not going to rush through this. But your brain starts to race. Yeah. Right? When a question comes up, if a guest asks me a question or if I ask a question and I don't know how the response is coming, your brain starts to race. Yeah. And you got to keep it authentic. You got to just keep having the conversation.
Exactly.
But
almost feel like you're trying to get to the point so fast, right?
Yeah, if you're racing too quick and speaking too quick, it comes off that way. And the other thing, though, is sometimes my brain races and I think that the footage is going to come out like, oh, man, I butchered it. Mm-hmm. And then we watch it after and it's fine.
Yeah. You were just being your biggest critic, right?
You were in your own head. Yeah. And Merrick that came in, I think you guys had him on your show too, when he was talking about flow state and going through everything and talking about people criticizing themselves too much. It's super common, and we have to identify that, and podcasters have to identify that on their own to realize that you can't be your biggest critic. You got to accept it, be confident, execute it.
Of course. And it's funny you say that, right? Like for me, and I respect Mark tenfold, right? Like I go and see him. He's my psychological consultant when it comes to sports performance, but also everything else in life.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not just sports.
It translates to everything.
Yeah, it's everything else that's going on. And we talk a lot about self-actualization versus self-realization.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a part of you when you feel like it's the sense of self in which you feel like that's who you need to be, as opposed to when it comes to self-actualization, where that's who you really are, compared to what you think yourself as, right? So it's kind of like that difference between internal versus external, where internally you might be realizing that you're coming off a certain way, but actually on the other side, you get your good friend, or you get your partner in life, or you get somebody out there who says, dude, you're acting like a total dick. You know what I mean? And then you're all like, oh well, no, I'm just being straight up. However, sometimes things are perceived very differently, and I know there's a lot of different variables with that, right? And then when you're podcasting and you're on air, sometimes you have to be so aware of that. Right?
You have to be aware, but again, I'll say authenticity 100 times, right? You still got to be authentic to yourself, and it's important to I think just language that you use is important, because the language that you use can be seen multiple different ways. Look at texting now. You can text something with an emoji, and someone on the other side of the text takes the text completely a different way than what you were feeling. You're feeling like, oh, hey, how you doing? Smiley face, and someone on the other side doesn't think you were happy doing it. Like it's how you say it. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like
here's the funny thing though. I'll pick your brain about this, right? Because I'm sure you relate. Now with emojis being so popular on text message, on iMessage, or on whichever platform you're messaging.
Every platform has
you almost feel like you have to have an emoji in there every now and then to ensure at the moments where you don't want someone to feel like you're pissed off about something, you're putting an emoji attached to it, right? Like when you're talking to somebody, it's crazy.
I don't know, like we haven't done too much research on that yet, but think of it yourself, right? When you get an emoji, you have a feeling about what was sent through. So you feel something on your side reading the emoji and seeing the text string that goes along with it. So I think that people are molding the way, it's not even how the person feels sending out that text string and the emoji. It's just you're controlling the situation of what that other person feels like when they read it.
Yeah.
And emojis have done that. Emojis, I think, are part of language now. There's no going back from that. Like they're ingrained. Like you might as well just put the emoji in the dictionary, because it's so part of our social culture, and it's so part of social media platforms and how we talk and communicate with each other. Like I said, I mean, emojis, they should just be in the dictionary.
I get really upset when I'm on my phone, and then I realize, like I'll sit there and be like, what am I doing? When I'm taking over 2 minutes to find a damn emoji. And I'm like, no, it's not necessary. Like, what am I doing? Just send it, right? Or just go star, you express how you feel about it, star, and then away you go, right? But it's just crazy to me how, like, we're guilty of it, right? Well, like, I'm a millennial, I'm in my 20s, and I find that I'm guilty of it because I grew up with it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of these things, it's how you look at it, and it's like, oh, you're wasting your time, or you just want to feel like you want to get your point across with just that much more emotion.
Yeah.
So that's the crazy part. But I'll ask you this. Do you find that, like, are you at a time now where you would rather express yourself and talk to somebody face to face about how you feel, or will you put it on text message?
No, I'm still a face to face phone call kind of guy.
Good.
Anything important, anything where there's a discussion to be had, I want to do it face to face. I even say in business that video conferencing and virtual reality is going to take over, where you can be in a virtual office and do work. That's coming. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know yet, because I still see value in face-to-face conversations and getting things done in an office.
It's very true.
It's like people working remotely. I agree with working remotely. I agree with the lifestyle. I want everything to happen. But there is an undeniable productivity of two people sitting in the same room talking about the same thing and getting it done.
Very true.
So I'm going to still evolve my take on that as time goes on. But I'm interested. Virtual offices, and as that starts to come out, I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
It's going to come. Don't know.
And to give you some, just some background on that, I'm currently experiencing that myself.
Yeah.
So at TELUS, we get the autonomy to work remotely.
Yeah.
And I've got to experience what it's like to work at Post Media and be in the office every single day, 9 to 5, and almost feel like I'm locked in.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you can't go anywhere. However, in that space,
jail.
Yeah, what was nice about that, though, was like, I could go out, I could meet business people, I could go and pitch them. So there was some freedom. Now with this, I find the work-life balance is amazing.
Yes.
Right? You're like you no longer like when I talk to parents
Yeah.
and now they're able to spend more time with their kids. They're allowed to work when they feel the most creative in the day. It's sad to me for let's say society to assume that you have to work 9 to 5, you have to be the most aware during this time, despite having kids, despite having life outside of it. They don't recognize that.
Yeah, in life,
right?
Everyone has things that occur in life, and you have to be able to, any job, anywhere, you have to be able to make those happen, right?
Yeah.
And we say that to everyone here on our team, right? Anything that they need to do, they can do.
Awesome.
But I don't know, and I'm still formulating my idea as we get this business going, this agency going, on that work-life balance, working from home, working from office, because I still feel that based on because there's so many moving parts, so many different people doing different niches within an agency.
Yeah.
You have to be able to coordinate between those people to get things done.
Communication is so key.
At the end of the day, let's just say you work from home or you work in the office. At the end of the day, communication is everything.
Yeah.
And if you can master that as a team, I think it takes you a long way.
So true. As an agency, do you guys have strategies in which to ensure everybody is getting their, let's say, ideas across the table? Like how does that look like in your agency when communication is happening?
There's a couple things that we do. So we have a creative room where people get to sit, do their work, and be in this open environment.
Awesome.
I like the open environment for us now because the team gets to see where other people are at on their tasks, where it's coming to them, when they're gonna get it in and be able to work on that same project.
Yep.
There's this collaboration within that room.
Love it.
We also don't have a huge space here. Like this office is nice, it's cozy, it's perfect for us, it's perfect for our size. But everyone works in close proximity. We all get to talk.
Great.
But if you need space, we got the kitchen, we got the game room, we got all these places that you can go and kind of work on your own if you need to.
Of course.
So we try to provide that dynamic back and forth, and we just keep learning as we go.
Yeah.
I think that the feedback from the team as it comes in on how things are working, then we just keep revolving and improving every single time.
No, absolutely.
What about you though in the corporate marketing world? It's a little different than agency.
Definitely.
Where we're working in this group creating content. What's the corporate world like?
Well, I mean, it's a little different because as far as marketing goes now, I went from a heavy digital marketing consultancy role to now working more grassroots events, more event execution, strategy, planning, looking into how we can partner up with certain, small, medium-sized businesses in the city, or even like other corporate vendors, how we could get into spaces and educate society in Edmonton on pure fiber.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm doing. And, to answer your question, I would have two different answers for both. And I want to know which one you'd want to compare it to.
Sure. It's, I think just take it to the direction of compare it to Post Media to TELUS now.
Sure.
So compare the difference between the two, because Post Media was a feel of an agency.
Yes.
Just a little bit bigger and a little bit more, maybe a little more red tape than we would have in a smaller agency.
Yeah.
And compare that to TELUS now.
Yeah, sure thing. It's a great question. When I look at Post Media and we look at the overall objective and what I needed to do was, there was a certain target I needed to hit, right? So anything in marketing, no matter what you ask anyone, they think it's not numbers based. It's all numbers based, as you know. Like you are thinking analytics, you are thinking ROI, you are thinking how you're going to get those targets, right? Because I think the falsified approach with marketing is people are like, oh, it's advertising, it's product, it's service. Sure enough, it is, but it's more so how you're going to deliver that product. So the neat thing I did with Post Media was I had to educate myself on every single service we offered that was going to take a product or service, and we're going to tell the business owner how we're going to push it forward, right? And we would do that through Facebook advertising, search engine optimization.
Yeah.
We would do that through Google AdWords.
Everything.
Website building. Like pretty much the whole
we call
holistic approach.
We call that the content map. So everything that you have online centered with the website moving around is your content map. Social, SEO, blogs, vlogs, whatever you have all filters back in the content map. You did all of that at Post Media.
Yes.
Now TELUS, you've moved away a little bit and you're focused on one of those branches feeding back to the mothership or the website.
Exactly. So now what we've done really is complete, like very, it wasn't necessarily a lateral move. It was a very vertical jump,
Yeah.
going from sales consultant to managing communities
Yeah.
and managing my team to ensure that the TELUS Pure Fiber is serviced out to the entire Edmonton region eventually.
Yeah.
Right? So what we're doing is we're having to strategize piece by piece, going from one community to another, ensuring that, okay, this one is going to be complete, and we're going to have to educate. That's the biggest thing we're doing.
So you're branding. You're branding TELUS, right? Everywhere you go, community events, everything. You're branding. You're branding through social. You're branding through everything that you're doing and making sure TELUS is top of mind. That's what we talk about all the time, right?
Right.
It's all comes down to timing. So if you're trying to get pure fiber throughout the city, not everywhere in the city is ready for pure fiber right now or ready to pay for it right now.
Yeah.
But if you're top of mind when they want the faster speed, when they want pure fiber, then right away they're going to think of you and then contact you.
Exactly.
Coming back to the community engagement, coming back to everything you've done.
Totally.
And that's cool. I like that because that's offering value, branding yourself, giving as much to the community as possible, and then waiting for it and waiting for that time for it to come back. It's perfect branding and perfect marketing the way that we look at it.
And you know what? That's the neat thing is like I was so deeply rooted in thinking that everything is digital, which, hey, don't get me wrong, like certain segments, certain markets tap into that. That's all they're ever going to see. Now on the flip side, okay, you're a homeowner, you have a family of 3 kids, you're heavily involved in your community. All of a sudden, you see or you hear these construction workers building into your community. You don't know what's going on? Well, that's where we come in. Right? We partner up with community leagues. We talk to the president. We go into these family fun events. And then we go into grocery stores. We go into spice centers multiculturally. Right? Like we target all these different demographics. We look into who is in these communities and we find strategies to talk to them face to face. Right? We want them to see us, ask us the questions. Right? For anyone who's confused, we let them know this build is free. We tell them that TELUS invested $1.6 billion into Edmonton to build the fiber. To get it to your home, and then upon you wishing to be connected to it, it's your choice. We don't want people to feel like, oh, we gotta be with TELUS now. You don't have to. However, with you knowing this, with 5G coming around the corner, with smart TVs now being serviced through Wi-Fi in your home, it's inevitable that you should have a faster speed. And these are just the things we talk about, right? Like
it's crazy, and what you're saying there, I love. So it's undeniable that digital and online gets you more touch points for cheaper. Right now, as of now, the online, the reason digital is so powerful is it gets you more touch points for cheaper, okay? But when I pitch a touch point cycle, when I'm going through subconscious touch points all the way around to when you do your inbound or when the timing's right, it's not all digital for all companies, right? So you're saying the couple that's a homeowner that maybe doesn't spend all their time on social media and you're in their community branding. You know what? That's a subconscious touch point. They see you there, they remember you, they keep you top of mind.
Exactly.
Then, you know what? You combine it with everything. You combine it with Google Ads. You combine it with your billboards. You combine it with TV commercials. And you create this holistic 10,000-foot marketing plan that goes around the touchpoint cycle and comes back to when you create the inbound or when the timing's right. And for clients, it just depends on where they're at and what they're servicing. But it is important to remember that digital is still getting you the most touch points for the cheapest. So all of it's important. All of it works. But you can get more touch points through digital.
Totally. And you know what? That's the funny thing. Like if right now we put our brains together, Jared, and now we put ourselves in let's say a potential customer's shoes, right? Someone who's like, oh, you know what? I'm considering Magnolia's Consulting as an agency to help me with my marketing. They have to look at it like this. They have to see it. And this is what I learned from Post Media. It was the bread and butter. Was the funnel. Right? And anybody can put a magic word to it and they could revolve around remotely what I'm going to talk about. But this is how I remember it. Was first thing you got to do with the customer is you got to create awareness. Okay. Second thing is engage. And what I mean by customer is this is the business owner who's your client who's servicing whatever they're offering to their customer. Okay. So create the awareness, create the engagement, and then conversion. Now right now, I'm sure you're going to know the answer. Where does every single business owner want to be?
Well, they all want the conversion.
Exactly.
Yeah, and see, it's hard though. It's a misconception because
everything else.
Because a lot of times they're looking for the conversion. They're looking for the conversion based on the number of money they're putting in. I put in X dollars, I get X conversions. When for us, we don't look at it that way.
Not at all.
Because at the end of the day, you put in X money, you create this much audience and this much branding, you create this many touch points. And you know what? Person X in the middle might see 10 of your touch points and is not ready to buy till next year. So the conversion from your original ad when you captured them is a year from now.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's everything.
No.
It's putting everything together, creating as many touch points as possible.
Yeah.
And then in the end, it's everything.
Yeah.
Gary says that. I'm just quoting him. At the end of the day, it's turning it all and turning it back. If we translate everything from X amount of dollars to X amount of conversions, we get lost. The other thing I say is, okay, we put in 500 into Google Ads, we create $500 job. Okay, so from that job, you got 2 referrals. From those two referrals, the lifetime value was X.
Yeah.
I look at everything in terms of the lifetime value of those conversions, not from just the X amount of dollars you made from day one.
And that's the
because it translates, right? And it takes a little while to sometimes to go through with clients and teach them that. But in the end, if you brand and create that awareness, when the timing's right, customers are coming back to you if you're top of mind.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm sure you could testify to this. How many business owners listen to this, and so long as you educate them and then you let them know, and as you just mentioned to me, a lot of that, this is beautiful, it's music to my ears, and I'm sure you have to kind of slow that down to some customers. You got to kind of have, to some potential clients, you got to tell them 2 or 3 times and then show them examples and let them know, because end of the day, a person's business is their baby, right? My mom said that all the time about her laser shear and acne clinic, right? Like, that's her kid. And when you look at it, they're very hesitant, because it's like them trusting somebody who's never
met before,
been in the job.
Yeah.
So then they're like, oh, how can I trust you with it? But at the same time, you're doing your research. You're learning about their industry. You have those stats.
Companies,
right?
What I find with entrepreneurs, one of the biggest mistakes that we see businesses make is they make the decision about the business based on their past experience on things they don't understand.
Yeah.
So what we always pitch is fill niches and fill gaps with people that are strong. And we do that within our own team, right? So our agency is built around being able to service every aspect of a business's marketing presence. Mm-hmm. But each person has their own niche: graphic designers, content writer, website designer, SEO, specialized videographer. Yeah. We have an After Effects person now, so just focusing on animations. Mm-hmm. Every person has their niche, and you put that all together and you can create this powerful effect. Yeah. And with any business owner that tries to tackle on their own, I used to do landscaping, and when you drive through a neighborhood, you can always tell the person that paid for a landscaper to build a retaining wall and the person who did it themselves. You can see it a mile away. You can look, you can see it's a little crooked. Yeah. And a lot of times that same thing happens online, where if someone's doing their own social media, or if someone's taking care of their own online presence and there's stuff scattered all over the place, you can notice. Yeah. We can notice. Our eyes are trained to notice that. Yeah. But customers in some cases can notice as well.
Definitely. And you know what's funny about that is we have to realize change is inevitable, right? How you once did your social media, or how your website's a perfect example.
How we do our podcast now is not the same way we're going to do our podcast next year.
Exactly.
It's going to change. It's going to evolve.
Then that's the right word there, right? Is hoping it evolves, right? It's like, I always say this. I'm like, in life, I always want to go 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So long as it always feels like I'm going forward. I'll be a liar if I said, oh no, it's a steady climb all the way up. Here we go. No, we're going to go forward. We're going to go a little bit backwards. We're going to learn from that mistake. Yeah. We'll go 2 steps forward again. But nothing is worse than people, and I see it, they go 2 steps back, 1 step forward. 2 steps back, 1 step forward. Yeah. And it's like they're only halfway there, but then they get so... I feel like, I shouldn't just say they, but there's just some people who are business owners who... They're just so fixated on, no, I know this best. I'm the only person. You can't handle my business. And I'm like, listen, let's do a trial, see what it's like, right? Let me show you that I can know.
100%. I think, and we try to do that all the time. It's just it's gaining the trust, it's gaining the value, and that's why we always pitch for people to brand giving up value. There's a reason Telus and you are out in the community offering value and teaching. Because you're trying to build that trust up with the audience that you're and your future customers.
Exactly.
Right? Again, waiting for that timing. So for us, if we can show value, if you can show value through Second Floor, if we can give a couple tidbits that help people out through #talktojv, that value is tenfold to them beginning to understand and trust us as people.
Exactly.
And then bring us in when the timing's right.
No, it's so true.
So it's
when you look at that, right? I mean, from a competitive standpoint too, as an athlete, I can't help but think this way, right? Is you're always looking at who you're going up against. You're seeing their strengths. You're seeing how you're going to combat those strengths, and then you're obviously thinking, okay, well, how am I going to ensure that their strength becomes something in which I can handle, right? So same thing with business, right? Is you go in there and you go to the dentist that you're visiting, right? You're cold calling and you're ready to pitch them, and they're like, oh, we're good, we're fine, right? And I'm like, okay, no worries. And you sometimes you don't even have to ask them. You'd be like, just check these guys out, right? You have a pamphlet ready. It's maybe 1 or 2 people. You're like, this isn't my client, I'll be honest, but they are dealing with an external marketing source. And just look at everything that they're doing for them. Look at these Google reviews. Look at how clean their website looks. Look, I looked through my calculator. It shows how many website clicks they're getting.
Yeah.
Look how many you're getting.
Yeah.
How many calls did you get this week? Well, this is how many calls they got. And then now, all of a sudden, again, it's their baby. You're talking about another kid. You're talking about that kid on the other team who's kicking ass, making cash. But their kid, he thinks he's doing everything he can for him.
Every single moment that you're not online right now, we believe this. Every single moment you're not online, you're not spending money on Google, you're not spending money on Facebook ads, you're not getting those online touch points, somebody else is. Yeah. So that other dentist is getting those touch points.
Exactly.
They're getting those calls. They're building their brand that way.
It's gamified now. It's
crazy. Again, you run them through the touch point cycle. It's a big deal to create those touch points and build your brand and build that value.
Totally.
Man, we're on a roll. Let's take this into personal. So your martial arts, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You teach martial arts. You do martial arts.
Yeah.
I also see you all the time supporting your brother. Take me through what your brother's doing.
Sure thing. Yeah.
He's killing it right now.
Yeah, he's doing awesome, man.
Yeah, and I always see you supporting him. So tell about the brotherly bond.
Yeah, definitely.
What that entails.
Yeah, so me and KB, we grew up doing martial arts together, and he's somebody who, in a lot of ways outside of martial arts even, he's been my role model in the sport, right? I'm sure for those people out there.
Oh yeah, this is going straight to KB.
He's going. He's going to check this out,
Yeah.
And first of all, I'll ask you, Jared, do you have a brother?
I do, yes.
Awesome, right? So I'm sure you could relate.
Same thing.
When you have a brother, it's a very special bond, right? And especially when you're the younger one, you're gonna look up to him in one way, shape, or form. And again, that competitive side, you're always gonna feel like, in 4 years I'm gonna catch up to you, right?
Yeah.
I'm still not there yet, right? Like he's doing amazing things in the MMA space, and he's just somebody who I find he can focus in on one thing, and I'm the guy who I am always trying to do multiple things.
Yeah.
But he kills it at that one thing. So for me to be on a front row seat of witnessing that, he's had moments in his life where he thought that MMA was just going to be something in which, he'll do for the rest of his life. He got through that degree phase. He got a big corporate job.
Yeah.
Then he was like, okay, well, this is it. And then really, day by day, he was eating away at it.
Yeah.
He was doing something that he realized it's not meant for him. So then he came back into MMA. He followed his true path.
Yeah.
And again, that's something I truly believe in, right? Going back to what we promote on the Second Floor podcast and what you talk about on yours is passion, career. When you could blend those two together, and then every day you can see how happy they are, how they're flourishing in that space.
Happiness is everything.
It's huge.
It is.
Right?
Because at the end of the day, you have to be excited about what you're doing every single day.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you have to consider that, or you have to accept that. And it's just seeing you guys out at the fights, seeing some of those videos, and seeing how exciting it is. You can just follow the passion. He's doing what he loves to do.
Yeah.
You're there supporting him, doing and following, allowing him to follow his passion, supporting him in that.
So I find, the funny thing about that, Jared, is from a cultural perspective, I was bugging him about this, and I tell everybody, our names are very similar, right? So my mom and dad.
I mix them up on social when I see you guys on social, so I get that.
No, it's funny because he'll say, I'm KB, and people are like, what does that stand for? And he's like, stands for Kenny's brother. And then they just get such a kick out of it, right?
Yeah.
So in his case, or both our cases, when we were born, our parents took us to the Gurdwara.
Yeah.
Right? So the Gurdwara is our temple. It's where we pray. It's where we get everyone together in our community. And essentially, when someone's born into your family and you have a kid, many people will go there to pretty much have their kid get blessed with their new name.
Yeah.
Right? So my dad decided to do it for both of us. And we both landed with the letter K in our name. Right? So then with that being said, my dad wanted to name my brother Kanwar Ajit.
Yeah.
And then my name Kanwar Beer.
Yeah.
So both very remotely the same.
Yeah.
So Kanwar Ajit, what that means is Prince of Victory.
Oh.
And then what my name means is Prince of Bravery. So when we grew up, and actually I have conversations with this with some friends, and we talk about how, when you, the significance of your name comes out in your life and what you end up doing, and that is there's nothing more true than that, than seeing what me and my brother are doing and how we do our day-to-day life.
What's interesting, because what's your brother's tag? Is it the Bengal? Is that what
Yeah, KB the Bengal
KB
Bhullar,
the Bengal
right?
Bhullar, right?
And again,
So-
we're talking about branding, right? Like he just does such a good job of exemplifying that.
Yeah, 100%. And just the way it acts, the way the videos come out, everything that he's doing from the personal branding side, it's authentic.
Yeah.
And that Bengal just
It's a lot.
and think of the top of mind that we talk about, right? He's what he has is top of mind. That Bengal is top of mind.
Yeah.
And that's super strong, and I love it. I love seeing the videos come out.
It's
and I love
sweet.
seeing you out there supporting it. So
Yeah, and that's a neat thing, right, Jared? Is like, you think about a tiger, and a tiger, you know, is strong, is courageous, is quiet,
Yeah.
right? Like, tiger will only prance on its prey when the time is right. Look at the guy fight. He's the same way, right? It's insane. And I was bugging, right? Because he's always like, oh man, like, these shirts, wild quantities last, right? Like, it's only gonna go out once. And I keep telling him, I'm like, man, just slowly but surely, like send me all of the digital copies. And I'm like, before you know it, we'll have like a Bengal clothing line. Like, like, you know, jokes aside, but like, real talk, he's creating a brand in and of itself with him fighting, right? And there's something to say about that, right? And as you know, when you think business-wise, or when you just think about how you want to be represented, there's what you do, and then there's all these things that could fall along with it.
100%. Hugh, what do we got for time? It's funny because Omid, he sets the cameras and then he knows we're gonna talk till the max. He just walks away and goes sits down.
He's like,
you see him, he's like, oh yeah, I don't need to watch this one. I'm just gonna go sit down.
Omid already knows a lot of stuff.
We're good for time.
We're good for time.
Yeah, that's great.
How
about you? Let's put on you. What does your story look like with your brother? How close are you guys?
We're super close. He's in Calgary now.
Sweet.
And we grew up doing everything together. Grew up golfing together the last couple years. We did when I had my landscaping business. He helped me out with that. So it's just a bond. And one thing for us, the difference now is with him in Calgary starting his career in finance, with me here doing marketing.
Sweet.
As part of the agency. It's just we still are connected. It's just less than before.
Of course.
And that was the natural evolution
as you get older,
of how things happen as you get older. So it's a combination of everything, but that bond never goes away. Every time you get together with your best friend from high school, it's like you start right where you left off, right? It's right there. Yeah. Nothing's changed, and that's the coolest part, and that's something that's always going to be there. Yeah. So it's good.
Awesome. I like that. I agree. Same thing with my brother. Well, we're always able to be real with each other, and we just joke around. We have fun. Yeah. You know, like that's another thing with me and my brother. Like when we're together, like we're like, you know what, everything that we're doing, great. But outside of that, like let's shoot this shit. Let's laugh. Let's have a good time. Like me and my brother at one point in time, we were having fun with just making Snapchat videos. Yeah. Like we're like whatever. Like the chemistry was there. We had the same sense of humor, and we just do the funniest stuff, you know. So. Like I'm just proud of him. I'm really proud of what he's doing, and
I'm excited to see how it goes because he's killing it. So he's got a fight coming up.
He does, yeah.
So we'll just keep following along and see where that goes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, next thing. Do you have any quotes that come to mind? Any quotes that you follow along with? We do have the wall of inspiration here. We try to put some things up.
Love this, by the way. This is awesome.
It's come out super nice, and as we talk about with all the guests, it's nice to have the team come out here and look and get some inspiration once in a while. It's good to just kind of sit back and relax and get some good nuggets when you need.
Absolutely.
You just need that dose. So,
definitely.
Give me something. Anything that you follow or anything you can think of that's kind of that inspiration that you follow along.
Will I be too cheesy if I just say stay wild?
No, you know what? We put that there. It's one of the IKEA photos that we get when we got all these frames.
Yeah.
So it stayed there, but Stay Wild, a couple of the ones, the Love, the Onward and Upward.
It's a good mix.
It's a good mix. We'll move them around, but it was just an IKEA special that we got when we got some of these frames. So
you know what? I'll tell you this. I remember it was funny. Junior high days when Facebook first came about, right? You get your Facebook. You get the chance to do a status update, right?
Yep.
I remember every week I'd go on Google quote of the day, right? So I do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I put up the quote as my Facebook status. So great question. It sparked some interest. One that I always kept in mind, and that really is, you could say, it's part of my core values.
Yeah.
Is Mahatma Gandhi when he says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world."
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you think about what he says about be the change you wish to see in the world, it reflects a lot about the golden rule as well.
I like
be
that
unto
one.
others as you want them to be unto you.
Yeah.
And you can't expect nice things to happen to you. You can't expect good things to happen if you don't give it back.
Correct.
Or if you don't start with it.
Yeah.
Right? So when I think about that, like, you go about the world, and I understand you're going to remotely be able to look at somebody and go, this person either has, more fortunate opportunities in their life than me, or they have less fortunate opportunities. Regardless, don't look at them and judge them based off of that. Because I find in the North American society we live in, sometimes, I'm not going to say all the time, sometimes we are guilty of that. Right? We get very materialistic along the way, and we're like, oh, buddy's got a Lamborghini, bro! We gotta work hard! We gotta get a Lamborghini! And it's like, bro, it's not about that.
And I always say, leave the material stuff to the side.
Exactly.
Right? It's not, there's no keeping up with the Joneses. That is not something that anyone has to worry about. At the end of the day, focus on yourself, be a good person, and in the end, it's all taken care of.
Of course. And you know what? I'll be honest. I'm guilty of it. I still say it to this day. One day, you know what? If I can afford a Lamborghini, I'll buy one. I get it. There's a lot more things I can do with that money. However, it's not about, oh, he has this, okay, I gotta do this. Because when you're constantly competing, and I understand we talked about a lot of competition today and the value of it in life and business.
Yeah.
But when it gets personal, and let's say you're competing with your significant other, you're competing with, let's say, your brother, but it's in a way where it's like, oh, I'm gonna be better than you and I'll get better than you, it gets toxic.
Yeah.
Right? There's a difference between healthy competition and competition that ultimately is just gonna make you feel like you want to be at the top of the podium but have nobody support you along the way. Right? It takes a team, just like your podcast. It takes a team, just like your agency.
There's nothing in life that you can accomplish by yourself. I believe that. At the end of the day, you need people around you. You need your family. You need your team. You need your business. You need everyone around you. Actually, to be honest, everyone, we're all interconnected, right? So at the end of the day, we can't do anything ourselves, and you have to be able to accept that.
Yeah.
And sometimes in North America culture, I think that people think that they can do it themselves and they can stand out themselves.
Yeah.
And we have to reel that back a little bit and make sure everyone realizes that we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
We're all flying on this spaceship together.
Oh, definitely, right? And that's the thing, right? Like, I find what helped me realize that, truthfully, like what changed my life at such a young age, God knows where I'd be if I didn't do Taekwondo, right? But Taekwondo aside, really what the fundamentals it taught me and the discipline that came with it was every single belt category had a specific quote attached to it.
Gotcha. And
the quote was really like the overall theme in which we like really focused on for a few months up until
to get that belt.
Yeah. So it was really 7 habits of highly effective teens, right? Or highly effective people. It's all remotely the same. And a lot of them, I'll just list the ones that come first to mind that I stick with to this day is be proactive. Think win-win.
Yeah.
Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Another one of my favorite ones was, at the black belt level, was lead by example by energy and excellence.
You know what? You got to send me those because that would be a fantastic thing to have on the wall where you show what the quote is for each belt.
Yeah.
You put it up there and then you realize, because I mean, that everything you just said there, they're life lessons that translate and stick with you your entire life.
Yeah.
You learn those through, especially at a young age, in helping you grow up and understand. Because when we're young, we're not as wise as we are now. Let's put it that way. And 5 years from now, we're going to be wiser than we are now.
Absolutely.
Experience plays a lot into it. So I want you to send me those.
Sure thing.
Get them up on the
You'll
wall.
like that. And especially at that young age, right? Like, that's why they say when you learn a language, it becomes so much more easier to at a young age. I never understood that until obviously, I got a little older.
I say that all the time. My dad always said, don't slam the door or shut the lights off. And I didn't realize until I paid my power bill that I had to shut the lights off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
you're like, I get it.
It's just the light bulb goes off in your head and you're like, that's what they were saying. So it's one of those things where we keep learning and we learn something every day.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
It's why, it's why we should go back to our parents and we should go back to whoever brought us up, whether it was in a family or with siblings or your guardians. Thank them. Yeah. Right? You realize those moments and then we're not appreciative of them, of who really taught us that in the moment. Right? Like recently I moved out and I'm like, I gotta go to my mom the other day. I'm like, thank you. I'm like, honestly, I'm learning every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've done so much. And then I always said thank you. But I was like, now I sat her down. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. Right? Like, you have taught
because you didn't know until you moved up.
I did.
Yeah. Totally.
Right? You knew and you appreciated it, but it became such a norm. You became so used to it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't let those moments pass by too quickly, right? And again, like another cheesy, but life is too short, right? Every day could be your last day, and you have to enjoy every step of the way, right? That's why even sometimes, Jared, I get so caught up in things that I'm doing, right? Even with the people I'm doing it with. And I remember even just last night, right? Q can speak to this. I'm just like, I was feeling grateful. And I'm just like messaging him, I'm messaging my buddy, and I'm like, you know what, guys? I'm like, I love you guys. I was like, this is good shit we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and whether I haven't had the chance to say it before or I haven't, we haven't had the chance to just sit down.
It's that communication.
Right? And
right?
you know
like
what?
it's because that communication we talked about earlier with teams, it comes back around. If you can communicate those things properly, people appreciate it.
Exactly. That's just it. Yeah, you read my mind. I was going to say that.
Right? And it's crazy. And you said life's too short. At the end of the day, learn something every day. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's be excited, be happy.
Definitely.
And it all translates into to having some fun. So
exactly. That's what's so neat about human beings is when you compare us to any other animal, we have this. We have our mouth. We have the ability to express how we feel, right? And a lot of times if we don't, we look for that, right? And then when we find in other people when they do appreciate us, it's going to be that definitive factor of, oh, you know what? I was going to consider looking at another job, or I was maybe going to consider like not talking to this person this week, but I'm going to give them a call, or I'm going to stay. I feel appreciated. I feel like what I'm doing is moving the needle forward, right? So I'm all about that. And I learned again now, everybody has a different way of wanting to feel appreciated, right? Like for instance, let's ask you, Jared, do you feel like, just to give you an example so you understand the context, if you wanted to feel appreciated, and let's say I'm your life partner, or I'm an employee or a partner of yours, would you want to feel appreciated by having it in a room and everyone hears, or is it a message, is it a call? What form of way is the best way for you to feel appreciated?
The smallest of ways. All I need is a simple text or a simple call or a simple sentence, and I know what it means, and it hits me deep. It hits me deep, and I don't need too much. It doesn't have to be public. I don't look for any attention in that space. All I need it to be is just a simple message from anyone, and it goes a long way.
Yeah.
And so what about you?
For me, it's curiosity.
Yeah.
Really, I'll put it in one word.
That's
shockingly, me being the heavy talker. But it's. I'll give you an example.
And Q's probably waving at us. He's like, "Yo, boys, we're almost at the time."
Yeah. No, but it's really a good way to come to the conclusion here.
Yeah.
Let's say when I'm telling someone something, and I'm excited, right? It's a new idea. If they are going to show me curiosity, and they go, "Tell me more," or they just simply ask a question about it, I'm pumped. I'm like, damn, told my buddy, I told my fiance, I told my family about this.
And they want to know more.
I'm lit, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Right? When they don't, I actually get bummed out. Like if I get that's cool.
Oh yeah.
It stops there.
Yeah,
I'm
you know.
Damn. I'm like,
what did I do wrong?
Yeah, I thought it was exciting, right? So that's how she goes.
All right, well, let's close her out there. I'm excited to come second floor one day.
Absolutely.
And this was a blast, so thanks for coming out, buddy.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Jared.
Love it.
Appreciate it. That was awesome.